In the meantime, Nigeria's billionaire businessman and investor Femi Otedola has been in the news in the past few weeks on the back of his investment deals in Transcorp, where another billionaire investor and entrepreneur Otedola-Elumelu is the chairman of the group. In the meantime, the London Court of Arbitration awarded $19 million in favor of Femi Otedola in a deal involving the sale of Ardova oil firm to another investor. There is more headline-grabbing corporate news on Wall Street right now, but let's turn to a licensed dealer and group CEO at Carrier Asset Management, Chukwu, for some insights on this latest development. It's good to have you on the show tonight. Welcome to a brand new Business and Market Weekend. Thank you for making it on the show tonight.
Thank you, Bossy, for having me.
Thank you. Let's start. What do you make of the battle of the billionaires, Otedola and Tony, over Transcorp Group?
I think we are appropriately titled the Battle of the Billionaires. These two men are some of the richest in the country, and basically for me, it's a contest of pride. Because if you consider the fact that Femi Otedola took between 5 and 6% equity in Transcorp, and Tony Elumelu went overboard to buy up the shares of Transcorp and bid up the market price. And the reality is that a 6% equity in Transcorp wouldn't have made Femi Otedola a core investor. Yeah, he would have been a significant investor, but not a core investor in Transcorp. So the fact that both of them actually threw their wealth at it, at the end of the day, Femi went back, left the investment smiling to his bank. So for me, it's a contest of pride between the two of them, because both of them could have coexisted as shareholders and directors of Transcorp, and actually they should have brought their wealth of experience, their network of connections to even further the business interests of that company, instead of that contest of who must be the core investor.
But are such high-stake investments not part of the normal market situation, in particular when it involves folks like Femi and Tony with deep pockets as businessmen and investors? The market is about me getting into your business. You want to get into business of mine. These are listed companies, by the way. So these are securities traded on the marketplace. So it's all open.
Yes, you know, Boston, the reality is that the core reason why people invest in companies are either to capital gain or dividend yield, or maybe to have controlling stake and therefore throw your influence around. And if you have controlling stake in a company, the benefit you get goes beyond your dividend and directorship positions. It also gives you a lot of leverage to inflate the decisions of the company, and also sometimes to take advantage, not in a more advanced country, not necessarily as insider trader, but in legitimate ways, take advantage of the company. It could help you get employment, assign people, get employment for people and things like that. So in reality, for quoted companies, you could have more than one core investor. Several companies in the country today that are quoted have more than one core investor. A significant investor is anybody who has 5% and above. Elsewhere in the world, you could have such coexist instances. You can actually invite your co-billionaire to come and co-invest with you, because your co-investor is coming with some competencies that will help the company actually do better. But once in a while you see such interest conflict, and one of the parties will ask to be bought out. And in such instances, it becomes a commercial decision where the one party decides to pay a premium to buy the other party out to avoid a conflict between the two parties.
It's interesting, you're looking at the shares of Transcorp, keeps been on the upside for most of last week and also went up today. So what do you think the retail investors are making of this in Transcorp?
Well, yes, retail investors, they feel that a couple of things have happened. The market float of Transcorp has actually diminished significantly because of the volume that Mr. Elumelu has bought. So the few stock of Transcorp in the market now, retail investors are scrambling to have a hold of it. And again, the company has also been reporting good returns. You saw the Transcorp Power has just gotten a new acquired Abuja Power distribution company. These are indications that the company may actually enjoy some stronger cash flow in the near future. So investors are conscious of that, and like I said, the float in the market for Transcorp share had diminished, and the few available stocks will ordinarily trade northwards. So that's some of the factors that are driving up the stock price of, because you now have a highly concentrated ownership of Transcorp, unlike what you had before, where you had a more diffuse ownership of Transcorp.
Okay, let's touch on Seplat Energy. What should retail investors make of the a crisis rocking Seplat Energy on the back of the court order asking the Securities and Exchange Commission to step into this energy company as far as the board and top executive levels concerned?
You know, retail investors are really worried. What can they make out of situations like this? I mean, nobody could have imagined that a court will give an order to sack the board of Seplat, because that's such orders are normally given where the board is accused of fraudulent activities, and not when the conflict is about the managing director being accused of racism and then being asked to leave the country or revoking the expatriate license of the managing director. I do not think, as an investor and as a market player, that such a fraction is sufficient for a court to give an order sacking the entire board. So retail investors are worried. They are worried because in many instances where the regulators appointed directors to superintend affairs of companies, such appointment did not augur well for such company. We've seen instances in the banking industry where regulators took over and appointed non-shareholders, non-stakeholders to superintend the affairs of the company. In many instances, the interest of the management shareholding or the appointed shareholders are not exactly aligned with the interest of shareholders. So people are worried. But the only good thing going for Seplat is that they are still mining oil. They are still producing gas. So the nature of their business is not public sensitive or public opinion sensitive. Because if it was a financial institution, the story would have been a different one. But because they are a real sector oil and gas producing company, horrible dance in the market around their shareholders and around their ownership has not really affected their production. Otherwise, it would have been a different case.
Okay, so talking about another energy company, Ardova Oil, what's your professional insight into these buyout plans and the arbitration in London that favored Femi Otedola with $19 million in that particular transaction?
Yeah, if you recall, sometime in July 2019, Femi Otedola said sold about 74% of the shareholding of Ardova, then Forte Oil, to Abdul Wasiu. And I think it was sold at the price of 66 naira per share. But unfortunately, I don't know what transpired that led to them having to go for an arbitration. But clearly, there was a commercial transaction priced at 66 naira to $16 naira per share. So one would have expected that the acquirer or the investor would have kept to the terms of that acquisition. I believe there was some maybe disagreement or some breach on the part of the investor that led Femi Otedola to go for arbitration and get that arbitration award. But the basic thing for me is that when people go into contracts and they sign the dotted lines, they must have gone through the terms of that contract and they must abide by it.
Okay, now Oando is looking to buy out minority shareholders and planning to exit the stock market. What's your take on this?
You know, we're beginning to see this too often. Recall also that the Ardova we just talked about had made offers at about 17.38 kobo to buy out minority shareholders who held about 26% of the shares. And now we're talking of Oando buying up, offering to buy off retail investors at about 7 naira per share. These are beginning to turn to a pattern where you have a very big person buy up a company, take a core investment in the company, and then seek to delist that company. If we continue in this trajectory, you're going to see a few companies reduce the number of companies listed on the exchange. And that's the concern of retail investors. The more we delist the major companies, the more we are likely going to see few stocks available for trading. And then we will narrow the breadth and depth of the market. Well as all that we're pushing is to increase the number of listed instruments, increase the number of quoted companies. And now you are talking of two of the major downstream operators in that market getting listed. So for us as market operators, we are worried that this is turning to become a trend that will not augur well for the market development.
All right, well, thank you so much for those perspectives. As always, do have a great week ahead, sir. Justin Chukwu, market professional and group CEO at Carrier Asset Management.